Okay, so now we're gonna get started on the next dish. I call it my version of caponata. Okay, you're in the house, you have some sliced bread left over, you have some eggplants. What do you do to get rid of it? Well, this is a real nice, I call it antipasto, that you can leave in the refrigerator. It gets nice and cold. You could scoop it over bread, a little over salami, some sliced prosciutto or something like that. But this is a version of caponata that is really good. And if you love eggplant, this is definitely going to be the recipe for you. So now it's with a couple of simple ingredients. Most of the time you'll have them around in your house, such as capers and parsley and garlic and onions. And we're using Kalamata olives here. Not only using the olives, but we're also going to use the vinegar and the brine that it's in to help fortify the flavor of this dish as well. Real simple. So why don't we start by just chopping an onion. Now you can use a shallot in this recipe if you'd like, but I'm definitely using the onion for this one. Okay, so first thing you want to do is go down with some sort of oil. I'm using a grapeseed oil because I think it lends to a really nice flavor with this. Don't use olive oil or anything like that. What we're going to do is cut our onion, and we just want I call it a brunoise. We'll just have a really small, dice on this onion here. And what we're going to do is combine it with the garlic. Scoop that in. The onion goes down first, and then we're going to do the garlic as well. Gonna smash the garlic down, and then just give it a rough chop. Again, if you like garlic, use more garlic in there, but I use 5 cloves in here, which I think are really good. And then when you kind of start to see it get golden brown a little bit, we're just going to take it off the fire just a little bit, because don't forget, we still have to do this with the eggplant as well. And I'm liking where this is going right now, so we're going to move this over to the side, clean up our cutting board just a little bit, put the rest of the onions in there so we don't waste anything. And we have our parsley, which we'll add in there too. Next, we're going to take our eggplant. Now you can peel this with a peeler if you want, or if you're cool with a knife, we can do that as well. And what we're going to do is basically just take the ends off like that and go around and take the skin off the eggplant. Now, eggplants are really, I love eggplants. You could do so much with them. Caponata is a classic dish. It's really a Sicilian dish. If you have any Sicilian friends or anybody from Sicily, or if you go to Sicily for that matter, you will always see caponata everywhere, especially in the summertime. And I love it. I've been to Sicily many times. It's a beautiful place. The food is fantastic. And if you like eggplant, capers and stuff like that, I've even been to my friend's house. He has an aunt that lives in Palermo. She used to make this with pignoli nuts. At the end, she used to fold pignoli nuts in it. Again, whatever you're into, you can always change around anything, to fit your own personal taste buds. You don't have to follow a recipe, so to speak. But we're just going to continue to go around the eggplant like this. And again, if you could use a peeler if you wanted to. I mean, this is just quicker for me, and make sure that your eggplants are not brown. There's no brown spots in them. They look really nice, but they're not too firm either, right? We don't want a really firm eggplant as well, something that's really been picked when it shouldn't have been picked. I know the old timers, they like to throw a little salt on the eggplant as well, especially when you're making eggplant parmesan. You don't have to do this with this dish, but you will need to put down a little bit more oil than you normally use, just because, the eggplant is really going to soak up the oil here. And we're going to get our parsley going here too. And you just want a rough dice on this parsley. Get that really nice, and let's go do a nice mince on that. Parsley gives great flavor. I know a lot of people like to use parsley for just like, garnish, whatever, but parsley really has got a nice flavor to it. If you know how to use it and you start to incorporate it in your dishes, you're going to love it. All right, so I think we got that there. Good. So, going right with the oil. Notice I took everything off. I don't want anything burning at this point, right? Let's just make sure we're cleaning our surface. Clean as you go, that's what I say. And you're always organized too when you're cleaning. You go to the next step. You never want to have a complete mess. Okay, that's a sign of working smart, working diligently. and really keeping a nice organized kitchen. Okay, so now we're gonna go small dices on this, right? Because it's like saying we can go larger if you want, but then that's like, you know, how big do you want your eggplant on that crostini? You know, which is another thing we'll talk about. How do we want to prepare that? Do we just want to eat it on sliced bread? Do we want to, you know, dip it in some nice quality extra virgin olive oil and bake it in the oven, which is really what you should do. So now we're going to go down this way as well. Cut this up. Okay. And you can see now, you know, these pieces are, you know, almost a perfect dice. We're gonna get them the other way too. So we're just going to go down here first, this last couple bit here. You don't want them too small, right? Because then they turn into nothing, but you don't want it too big either. So, you know, what you're seeing here is really where you want to be with Caponata. This is a perfect size here. Okay, we'll just do the rest of them. An eggplant's got a tendency to kind of jump all around. Don't worry about it, just move everything back, go slow. And we'll dice the rest of this eggplant. And like I said, you don't need to put this in salt or any kind of brine or anything like that. You know, it's just going to kind of do its thing, cooking in this oil as well, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to cut the other eggplant, throw it in there, and start to saute it a little bit. And we want it on really low heat, you know, nothing too high. We don't want to burn anything. Let's do the other eggplant. We'll put this stuff in there and take it to the next level, and I'll kind of teach you how to season it and which kind of direction you want to go with next. Okay, so now that everything is in here, when I mean everything, the onions are in here, the garlic, we have the oil in there. And remember that we're not using olive oil yet. We can put olive oil in here, but we want to put olive oil at the very end. Just drizzle it over the top like fine pasta. I'm going to take a pinch of salt here. And that's really all we're going to do right now. We're going to let this eggplant cook on its own, render down, and come right back. Okay, we're back here, and this is really looking excellent. Like we talked about, we're rendering it down. And that's exactly what, you know, now the eggplant is soaking up all those flavors of the onions, the oils, and stuff like that. Now, if you look closely, you know what I was talking about with the parsley in there. Don't add it when the oil and the garlic and onions are cooking. You just kind of throw it in there and move it off to the fire, because what I like is the parsley still retains its nice green flavor and texture and color, if you can see it, right? Parsley looks like it's not even touched. Looks like I just added it in. It's been cooking with it. So definitely don't overcook the parsley. Use it to its full advantage and flavor. Okay, now next we can start to add everything else that's going to go down in here. Now I have capers here. Everybody kind of knows what capers are, right? These caper berries, they come the larger ones, the smaller ones. Sometimes they come in salt. I really don't like those. But this is in a brine, and we're going to use this brine as flavor. And we're going to throw that right in there just like that. Next, I have some Kalamata olives here. Now these are pitted, the pit's out. However, I do want to give them a little bit of a rough chop. The reason why I want to do that, because they're just too big the way they are, and they're not going to sit well on a piece of bread or a crostini or something like that. Now, if they were not pitted, here's another little trick too. You just take your knife and press it down and roll it. And what happens is the pit will kind of come right off it. But even when you're taking olives and you slice them, you're going to stand there and do one by one, right? You're going to push them down and then just give a rough chop. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for just a rough chop here. You know, we want to be able to have the olive sit on the bread and not roll off like, you know, onto the floor and down to the hole and stuff like that. All right, this is where we want it to go. Now, this is going to stand up nicely with everything and all this consistency and textures of what we got going on. We're going to add our olives already. The smell of this is just really incredible. This is taking me back to Europe right now. Okay, we're going to get this cleaned up, fold everything over, and come back. Okay, we're going to stir this up. Now you can really, all the flavors are being married well. You got the capers, the Kalamata olives. Don't use green olives. You can, I've seen it, but Kalamata olives are a lot better. This is definitely going to be a dish. Shout out to my friend Nadine and her husband. They love this dish. Every time I make it, I try to make a little bit of extra for them. and we're just going to add a little bit of vinegar. Now you can use any vinegar you want. This is going to be white vinegar. You could use red if you wanted to as well. And at the very end, we're going to add just a little bit of sugar or honey, depending on kind of what you have in the pantry. But this is a kind of sweet and sour type of dish. Now I have some tomato sauce that I made a while back, 2 days ago. It's been in the refrigerator. Another thing that's got to kind of get moving into something. And what we're going to do is incorporate this tomato sauce in here. And then we're going to kind of just watch it for about an hour or so, because we want to determine, do we need to add a little bit of tomato paste to thicken it up, or is it going to thicken up on its own? So let's add this sauce in like that. Okay, make sure we get every little bit out of there. And we're going to, turn this around a little bit too. Toss this up. Now that is really incredible. I mean, you got a couple of eggplants in the refrigerator, you got some other stuff that you got to get moving here, or even go pick some up at the local market. And sometimes those eggplants are on sale. I love that. Let's talk about sales and the prices of food, which is just kind of astronomical right now. Talking about needing to save a little bit of money. This whole dish right here will be made under 10 bucks. Not to mention if I was going to throw the sauce out or I wasn't going to use it. Now this by itself, tell me if this doesn't look beautiful here, right? But what we're going to do is let this cook down, simmer, and then we're going to put some butter in at the very end. And we're going to fold that in there too. It's really going to kind of bring it to life. This is really looking beautiful here. Okay, so this looks good. We're going to let it simmer. Again, nothing high. We're going to turn this heat down a little bit because we really want the flavors to turn it down to like a 4 on my end here. And we're going to let this simmer. We're going to come back in 45 minutes, take a look at the consistency and see if we need to add tomato paste or not. Most of the time you don't, but I have been in a situation where I've made this, you need to add a little bit of paste. So we'll see you in 45. Wow, I got to tell you, this really looks sensational. This is what I'm talking about. This reminds me of traveling to the hills of Italy after a warm, sunny day, and this is chilled coming out of the refrigerator on some crisp Italian bread. Take me to Italy. That's all I got to say at this point. Now, at the end, if you remember, I told you that we'll probably add some butter in at the very end. And we'd also talk about whether or not we needed to add the tomato paste in here, which we do not need to add any tomato paste because this is perfect. As you can see, the consistency and the thickness is really just next level here. I mean, it couldn't have gotten any better. And it's a perfect combination of Kalamata olives, capers, vinegar, and we added a little bit of sugar in there. We decided to go with the sugar, and it really just looks incredible. So now what's left to do is just to take this, chill it into the refrigerator. I like at least 4 to 5 hours, make sure that it's fully chilled, and then you can put it right over bread. You can, toast this bread, crust it with a little bit of fresh garlic. You can do that as well. But we're going to add this pat of butter in there and kind of fold it around. And that butter is going to get melted. It's going to create like a creamy consistency here, which is kind of what we're looking for. And that's it. When it's all melted, you're going to put it in the refrigerator, give it a few hours. You want it to definitely be cold. You don't want anything that's going to be hot because this dish is really best when it's cold and the flavors will really come out. Thank you for watching this fun-filled episode of Taste This TV. I'm your host, Chef Joe Ciminera. This is carbonara, and there are no rules in cooking. Taste this.